You know, some names aren't just written down in history books, they're carved into the very soul of a place. Over in Thonburi, there's a name that still echoes, a legend that whispers through the community. Today, we're going to explore the incredible story of Luang Pho Phring in Indachoti. He was known as a true master of sacred arts, a spiritual giant whose knowledge was said to be simply vast. But what people really remember, what truly defined him, was his immense compassion, a gentle power that could soothe even the most troubled hearts. Let's dive deep into his story. So, what was it about him? What was the source of this incredible reverence? What kind of power did he have that made princes and even the highest patriarchs respect him so deeply? That's the question we're going to get to the bottom of, because this wasn't just any monk. He was a pillar of faith for an entire generation. All right, let's start right at the beginning. Our story begins not with flashes of glory, but with quiet, unshakable devotion. So get this, he was born way back in 2413, and from the moment he was ordained as a young novice, he never left the monkhood. Not once. His entire life was a single, unbroken journey on the path of Dhamma. So by 2438, when he was appointed abbot of Wat Bang Pakok, his reputation for spiritual discipline was already, well, legendary. But the temple he was assigned to lead was nothing like the sanctuary it is today. No, it was a place shrouded in darkness, a challenge that was going to test him to his very core. The area back then was actually called Bang Pakok, and it was notorious for being a den of gangsters. Violence was just a part of everyday life. It was so bad, they say, that villagers had to carry weapons just to go to the temple to make merit. It was a land where peace had been forgotten. And this really shows you the scale of the transformation. He walked into a ruined temple in a gangster's den, with crumbling buildings and maybe 2 or 3 monks left. And through the sheer force of his virtue, his presence alone, he turned it into a true center of spirit and faith. The gangsters either became his disciples or simply vanished. The temple was reborn from the ashes. So he brought peace to the land around him. But his greatest test, and what would become his most profound miracle, was still on the horizon, arriving with the dark tide of global war. As World War II began to rage, Bangkok was thrown into a state of constant fear. The sky itself, once a symbol of freedom, now became a source of fire and destruction. Now, here's where it gets truly incredible. The temple's location put it right in the crosshairs. It was less than a kilometer away from Japanese naval shipyards and dry docks. These were primary targets for Allied bombers. Everything around the temple was being leveled again and again. It was, without a doubt, a high-risk zone. Terrified villagers flocked to the temple, hoping for refuge. And there, they witnessed a true miracle. The air would shake, bombers would roar overhead, but within the temple grounds, there seemed to be an invisible shield. The stories say that not one bomb, not a single one, ever fell within the perimeter of the temple, which was protected by the spiritual power of Luang Pho Phring. And this peaceful temple you see standing today, it's a living monument to that very miracle. It's a testament to a faith so powerful it could literally hold back the destruction of war. Now, an act of divine protection like that, it doesn't go unnoticed. Words spread like wildfire, reaching the ears of some of the most powerful and spiritually advanced people of the time. And this is absolutely crucial. His spiritual level was recognized by his peers, the greatest masters of his era. We're talking about the father of the Thai Navy, Admiral Principakara, the legendary Luang Pho Phring, and even the Supreme Patriarch himself. They all saw his profound depth. But the story with the Prince of Champan is maybe the most telling. This prince was already a master adept who had studied under the great Luang Pho Suk. He sought out Luang Pho Phring and came to hold him in equal profound esteem. And get this, as the ultimate sign of respect and trust, he entrusted his own 3 sons to Luang Pho Phring for their ordination. That's the ultimate endorsement. And then there's the incredible story about Luang Pho Phring, another famous master. He came to learn a specific sacred art from Luang Pho Phring. When asked about it later, Luang Pho Phring simply said, "He came to learn with me for only 1 night." In that single night, Luang Pho Phring had completely mastered it. It's an amazing testament to Luang Pho Phring's ability as a teacher. But the legend of Luang Pho Phring doesn't end with tales of spiritual power. His most enduring legacy is actually something far more tangible, something that is still shaping lives to this very day. You see, his legacy is really twofold. On one hand, you have his sacred objects and amulets, which are seen as sources of spiritual protection. But on the other, you have his vision for the future, empowering the next generation through education. He knew that true protection for his community wasn't just about miracles, it was about knowledge. So he started a primary school right there in the temple, using its pavilions as the first classrooms. He then dreamed of a secondary school, so local kids wouldn't have to give up their studies because of distance. And even though he passed away in 2490, his vision was so powerful that his followers made it a reality just 2 years later, founding the school that still stands today. And so, the story of Luang Pho Phring is not just a tale from the past. It is a living legacy of compassion, of protection, and of profound wisdom. His honorable history, his incredible virtue, and his miracles, they're not just stories to be told, but truths to be remembered, inscribed in the heart of a community for all time.